Hey, this is Yusuf. So, I didn't plan on making this. I wanted the other video to be the last one. Again, I'll have access to an actual, real, running, normal computer, 27. But I thought about it and I have to make this video. And since I brought up the idea of suffering and the atrocities in Europe during World War II and the plight of the Palestinians, why is there suffering in the world? And for those of people who are Christian or Jewish or whatever, who read Job and think that God gives an answer, like Rabbi Kushner in his book, Why Do Good Things Happen, or Why Do Bad Things Happen to Good People, he basically says, well, God isn't strong enough, or that God struggles, and that he's not omnipotent, which is an explanation. It's not, because then you're dealing with a God, a pagan God. You're not dealing with the God of the Bible. And there's the problem with omnipotence, and when people use it in the modern sense and what it actually means in the Bible, what, blah, 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 a rock, and can you make it so big that it, whatever, I don't care. But the problem is suffering. For those who read the Jesus, what he said in one certain part, and he says, well, this suffering was to see the glory of the Son of Man, to know the miracles of God. These are missing the answer. The book of Job basically has one message, one actual message, besides Bronze Age tale. It's probably older than the Bronze Age, that probably dates back to Mesopotamia and got its Jewish version and put into, he's from Ur. Job is from Ur, not from any, it was Ur or Uz? It's in Iraq, anyways. Mesopotamia. Why? I'll keep it short. Why is there suffering in the world? Somebody asks you, why is there suffering in the world? Why is there a God and suffering? How can God be good and there be suffering in the world? And that's the answer. The answer is that there is no answer. There is no answer given yet. For the Protestants and other people who like to think that God is 100% just but 100% merciful, so he has to, God can't be just and merciful at the same time, so he has to have these schizophrenic things, as if the will of the Son is not the will of the Father, that the Father demands punishment, that Christ shed his blood, like as some, that this, and this is what I had been taught by evangelicals, that I kind of had to get untaught, is that or basically wake up, is that once you become a Christian, you're saved, you're covered in Christ's blood, and then when God sees you, he doesn't see you, he sees the blood of Christ, and you go on. It didn't matter about all your sins on the inside. You're saved, and that's it. That's all that God cares about, whether he sees the blood of his Son or not, which is ridiculous. And it's obscene to think that any judge of any kind can be just without being merciful at the same time, without having some capacity for mercy, as if it's just a robotic, as if we live by strict Sharia law under a caliphate where every sin must be punished, type of thing, without any mercy. And even when practiced in Islam, there's a great tradition of the judges being merciful. So winds up being a poor example for even that. But those who think, I mean, I've heard people describe Calvinism as Gnostic, as a form of Gnosticism. Now, I know, okay, people say, well, that's not all forms of Gnosticism, real Gnosticism, but a form of Gnosticism. A form of aberrant heretical Christianity, or at least a form of docetic belief or Marcionism. It's one of those mangled things where you have a good God and a bad God, an angry, just God, and then a good God coming in to save it. But, I mean, that's basically kind of Calvin divided God. Why do bad things happen to good people? Why is there suffering in the world? Why is there things like evil? Why is torture, rape, murder, Holocaust, genocide, ethnic cleansing? And the answer is, and that's the answer. There is no answer. Not now. Just like how I've always said, I don't believe in justice. Not this side of heaven. Not in this world. Not until the end of time. If you give any answer other than that, you're wrong. You're not compassionate. You make God out to be an evil, wicked monster. Why is there suffering in the world? Well, we know there is suffering in the world. And if you have any belief in God, or you have any experiential things with God, then that question doesn't matter. It's, what can I do to help the suffering of the world? Just in my own area, how can I alleviate pain? And many of the some Gnostic teaching, some Hindu and Buddhist teaching, actually I think all Buddhist and Hindu teaching, pain is an illusion, suffering is an illusion. Or some of the Gnostics had said suffering is caused by ignorance. Some of the Hindu sects say that too. Or it's ignorance, or it's an illusion. Scientologists say this. So you wind up blaming the victim. Well, if they could just get out of it, or if somebody could come down there and take them out of it, then they would. No, suffering is not an illusion. Absolutely not. Not an illusion. God came down, met the physical world, knew it intimately, suffered. God in the hypostatic union. Christ experiencing this. That's why we're, what is it, diaphysites? Or we diaphysites or whatever, not myaphysites. There is no answer to suffering. Why, if there is a God, why is there a Holocaust? I think those are for people seeking, or them trying to find a logical answer to God. It's like those people who say, well, can God lift a rock so big? And the answer to the atheist is just no, that's fine, go away. Because God is beyond the physical bounds of the universe, so he's outside of logic. So, and besides, there's numerous amounts of problems with that question anyways, which is weird, which I had already went into, so, I mean, I already addressed that, but why is there suffering? You don't get an answer. Christ said it best when he said, it rains on the just as it does the unjust. In this world, we don't see justice. There's no perfect. Somebody goes out and rapes a woman, kills her in front of her child. Kill that man. Damage is already done. There's no okay, now we're equal. No. And try to achieve some form of justice, and governments may need to inflict things like this, but Christianity's been separate. Render unto Caesar what Caesar, render unto God what is God's. And I see all justice as just vengeance. And I don't think I'd fault people for that. Because they're human, and I'm not going to sit and judge, oh, yeah, you took vengeance. God. Half the time, God doesn't even judge those people. He doesn't want to. they ask for forgiveness, then you can't. Oh, but yep, but this needs to be paid on this, which is the cross, which is blood that covers, because God the Father is incapable of mercy, even though it says He exercises mercy multiple times in the Bible, and that Christ is merciful. But nope, you have to just go. I mean, as if after everything that God and God incarnate did in what's revealed into the Gospels. After that, then the Calvinist formula came in, and now Christ couldn't say that the Roman centurion had the greatest faith, or that the sinner on the cross would be with them in paradise. No, because you have to go through these little sinner's prayers. No. If you think that God is 100% just, so therefore He can't be merciful, that's not justice. That's not a just God. That's not a good God. Don't worship that God. If there's any explanation, in the creation mythology, we're basically told somehow evil is foreign to us somehow. Can we picture the world without certain people say, oh, well, killing, that's an evil, and so no animal could die, so there'd be dinosaurs playing with Adam and Eve, and it just into insanity when you're trying to take it literally instead of man is innately good, something happened, now there is a fallen world with evil in it, and that's how now we're dealing with this world. It's not ignorance, it's not an illusion, it's not because you don't have enough faith, it's not because you don't say the right prayers, it's not, I mean, that's kind of the picture that you get painted in some of these the books of the Old Testament, where if you don't sin, then no evil will come upon you. Well, Jesus tore that all to hell when the tower collapsed. He said, well, I mean, who's to say those men were any more good or evil than anybody else? When He said, again, it rains on the just as it does the unjust. So the answer to why is there suffering in the world is we don't have an answer. We're not given one. We're not given all that information right now. And that's it. And I think it's either insane or cruel to think that, well, you must have an answer to that in order to have any concept of anything beyond this material world. That actually is insane, because one doesn't. It's non sequiturs. That's weird. So the answer to why is there suffering in the world is we never got an answer. We're not going to get an answer until after this age. To the ages of ages, amen. After this age. There's no answer. There's no answer given, therefore no human being can give the answer. It's not an illusion. Suffering and pain is not an illusion. It's not due to ignorance. It's not due to lack of righteousness. Anybody who tries to give you those three answers, they're lying. Or whether they know it or not, it's not the truth, and it's cruel to say so. Or to say karma, that everybody just deserves it. That the reason why your child died at birth is because they were a real jerk, and they're just dropping their body. And that's why my belief can't allow for reincarnation. But once you put that into any type of theology, then the body is nothing. And just like the Scientologists, where they just shove their, any of this, oh, we'll just drop your body. It does, no hospice care. No one lets inject this person with morphine, nothing like that. Dangerous ideas when you try to start explaining things, or, well, they'll just get a new body. Which is terrible. Listen to Tori Chrisman on here. This is what the Scientologists say. It's bad. Why is there suffering in the world? We don't know. But you can go out and help people. You can ease other people's suffering. Maybe not all of it. You do your part, which is a good thing, which gives us hope, because we love each other. That's it, because we love each other. That's why we help each other. Peace to you. May God save Serbia and Syria. See you on the 27th. Hey, this is Yusuf. So, I didn't plan on making this. I wanted the other video to be the last one. Again, I'll have access to an actual, real, running, normal computer, 27th. But I thought about it, and I have to make this video. And since I brought up the sense and what it actually means in the Bible, and what, blah, 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 rock, and can you make it so big that it, whatever, I don't care. But the problem is suffering. For those who read the Jesus, what he said in one certain part, and he says, well, this suffering was to see the glory of the Son of Man. Think that God gives an answer, like Rabbi Kushner in his book, Why Do Good Things Happen, or Why Do Bad Things Happen to Good People? He basically says, well, God isn't strong enough, or that God struggles, and that he's not omnipotent, which is an explanation. It's not, because then you're dealing with a God, a pagan God. You're not dealing with the God of the Bible. And there's the problem with omnipotence, and when people use it in the moderns, to know the miracles of God. These are missing the answer. The book of Job basically has one message, one actual message, besides Bronze Age tale. It's probably older than the Bronze Age, that probably dates back to Mesopotamia, and got its Jewish version and put into, he's from Ur. Job is from Ur, not from any, the idea of suffering and the atrocities in Europe during World War II and the plight of the Palestinians. Why is there suffering in the world? And for those of people who are Christian or Jewish or whatever, who read Job and